Hey, this is Sophia, and this video is going to show you how to make some very simple, basic succulents, because who doesn't love succulents? So I hope you enjoy it. So the materials you're going to be needing are watercolor paper of any size, various size brushes, including, if you have one, a very small brush, and your watercolor palette, regardless of what it looks like, and a cup of water. And that's about it. A ruler is also helpful, but not necessary. So I'm going to start with drawing a very light horizon line, and that's so I can get all of my succulents to line up evenly. This is an example of the drawing that I'm going to be making today. So to start with a very basic pot shape, you're going to draw a long oval shape and then draw two lines coming down from either side, and I like having them face diagonal in a little bit, and then another line under that that follows the same curve of this oval. Then you're going to draw two more lines coming down from that, also kind of diagonal, and then another curved line at the bottom that follows this curved line. And there's your very basic pot shape. So next I'm going to do a different kind of shape. I'm also going to start with an oval shape, and then I'm just going to kind of draw a circle coming down from that. Okay. And now I'm going to draw another one. So also starting with an oval, drawing two lines down from either side. And then two more straight lines coming all the way down. So that's kind of a taller, skinny pot. And now I'm going to make another shape. So again, starting with a long oval, two lines coming down from either side, a line underneath that, and then this one's going to kind of be like a S-shaped face. So I'm going to draw two squiggly lines coming down from it and try to make those lines match on either side so that it's symmetrical. And then I'm just going to do one more shape. So again, starting with an oval, two lines coming down, and another two lines coming straight down, and the bottom curve. So those are just 5 basic pot shape examples. Okay, so once you're happy with your pot shapes, I kind of adjusted mine a little bit because I wasn't super pleased with some of them. Then you can add little decorations to them if you want. So you can do like little triangles coming down, or just a few lines on them, or little polka dots, or like a squiggly line, or really whatever kind of design you want on the pots, or you can keep them simple and plain too. Now I'm going to add a horizon line, and I'm going to start it a little bit above where the ends of the pots are, where the bottoms of the pots are. Make sure it's even across, and then I'm just going to draw the line in between each pot. And this is so they don't look like they're just floating in space. So now they have somewhere to sit. So this first succulent shape, I'm just gonna draw kind of an oval shape, and then a few more oval shapes coming off of that, and then draw like some dots or X's in the middle to symbolize thorns, and then make sure to erase the line of the pot behind the plant. And this next one, I'm just gonna do some squiggly lines coming out for the vines, and then doing a bunch of tiny little circles for the leaves coming off of the vine. So for this next one, I'm just gonna draw kind of some basic leaf shapes coming out, one on each side of the pot. And I'm alternating which side I draw them on, so you get kind of this nice stacked layer. So now I'm gonna do some long skinny leaves. So I'm just doing one in the middle, and then two on either side, and then two more on either side of that, so that it's nice and symmetrical. And then I'm going to add some more leaves in the background to give it some dimension. So I'm just doing one leaf poking through in between each of the leaves in the front. And then also make sure to erase the line of the pot behind those leaves. So then for the last one, I'm doing just kind of a tall, skinny oval shape, and then adding some arms poking out of that to kind of make it the classic desert cactus. And then I'm going to draw a couple lines coming down in the middle of those to give it some ridges. So now I'm going to go over my lines with micron pens. These pens are great because they're waterproof, so they won't smudge when you go over it in your watercolor. And they have different size tips. I'm going to be using the 03. Don't forget to erase your pencil marks. So before you start coloring in your succulents, it might be a good idea to practice some watercolor on the back side or on a scratch piece of paper, just so you get a feel of how it is to color in the lines. So I'm just gonna draw a few shapes here and just get a feel of how it is. So dip your paintbrush in your water and then into the watercolor to activate the pigment. And then just practice coloring in the lines and try to get it as precise as you can. And then I'm going to switch to my small brush and practice fine little details, which is also really good to practice. A cool thing about watercolor is you can build up the pigment. So after your first layer dries, you just go over it with either the same color or a second color, and the color will get darker. Or you can mix colors directly on your paper rather than on your palette by layering it with different colors. So I'm also going to practice drawing some straight, fine lines so that I can add details to my succulents. And then I'm also going to do a squiggly line just for practice and some little dots. Another cool thing about watercolor is if you mess up and you do a line that you don't like, while it's still wet, you can just dab it off. And then clean your brush really well. Get some water. Go over that area. And just keep applying clean water and dabbing it off. And it's totally gone now. And then even once it dries, you can still take it off, but just not as easily. So I'll let that spot dry and then show you how to take it off afterwards. Okay, so it's pretty dry now. So again, you're gonna clean your brush and wet it with clean water. Go over it as much as you can. And again, it's just the same process, just dab it off. But you still have to get it while it's still pretty fresh. So like these are really dry, and I'll show you. You can still take it some color off, but it's gonna be hard to get the whole color off, the whole stain. But some will still come off, and then you can go over it with a different color. If you want to do a background color, I suggest that you do that first and then let it dry fully before you start coloring in your succulents. So now that I feel comfortable using watercolor, I'm going to color in my succulents. So I'm starting with the pots, and I'm choosing some fun colors, but you can also just do tan or really whatever color you're feeling. And then I'm also making the rims of the pots a little bit darker, so I'm going over those with a second layer. Along with the details of the pots as well. So then for the succulents themselves, I'm just going to do kind of different shades of greens and blues. But you can also just make them fun colors and whatever you like. So I'm also going to add a ground color just so they don't look like they're floating, but it's totally optional, up to you. Okay, and there's some very basic succulents. You can do whatever design or colors that you want. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to always sign your work.